Hi, Roger Hill here of Wuthering Heights Consulting. Back on June 2nd, Sunday afternoon, we had a line of severe thunderstorms roll through portions of central Vermont. I'm going to review some of the radar tapes of this, and we'll take a look using GR Analyst. This is a great tool, a radar tool, to show some of the signatures on radar, what kind of precipitation took place, and where the heaviest winds were. Now this is how the thunderstorms moved into the region. They were very strong, tops running about 50,000 feet. But as they moved into central Vermont, now take a look at this particular cell right here. This is where hail was not quite yet 3/4 of an inch, moving into the vicinity of Montpelier. That little red X there, red cross, is my location, located in Worcester. I'm a little bit on the sort of the southern side of Worcester. So the area that was mostly affected was roughly in this vicinity here. It kind of rolled up into Caledonia County and took a track into northern New Hampshire and Coos County. But a fairly large area of this region was affected by a lot of tree damage. Probably ground zero was the portion of Washington County, northeast corner really, the vicinity of Marshfield, near the Groton Forest, as well as parts of Lower Cabot. And I will also include really Montpelier itself and portions of East Montpelier, Calais, Berrytown also was affected a little bit to that by that. And as the storms here moved, you can see a little bit of a bow formation, and this is what we call a bow echo. And I'll advance these one volume scan at a time. Now you can see the hail now is increased to about a ½ inch, and right now we're up to almost an inch hail. Now, an updraft core that supports 1 inch hail is a pretty strong updraft, and Newton's law, what goes up must come down, usually suffices here. And you can kind of see now we're up to 0.95 on the size of the hail. And again, now this is about 231. It had just left Montpelier. The worst of it was headed through the East Montpelier Plainfield region, about to hit Marshfield. And you can see some very large hail now, 1.09 inches, meaning that updraft core was strengthening. The storm is actually intensifying. So getting right back to that right there. And then our next slide shows this 0.95. Let's see here. There we go, right there, 1.09, carrying that through. Hail size 0.81, so it's starting to weaken just a little bit. Still a pretty strong batch of hail being supported by those updrafts at 0.77. And finally, 0.77, let's see the next group here. This moves into the northeast corner of Washington County at 1.03. And this storm has been doing a lot of damage. You can see another cell right over here at 0.91, and there's even a larger one at 1.68, almost a little over an inch and a half hail size. That's pretty large. And these are very strong thunderstorms zipping right along. Now you might also notice there's a bit of a bow echo that kind of stretches out here. And anytime you see that indicative bow echo like that, typically there's strong straight line winds. Now, a couple things I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do a 3D cross-section here. First of all, just a two-dimensional cross-section from the radar. The radar is located in Colchester, Vermont, of course, and we'll cut a cross-section and show you some of the tops on these thunderstorms here. And as you might see, some of the tops are over 50,000 feet. This is pretty impressive. We'll zoom in a little bit, give you an idea of what we're looking at here. This is looking in on the back side. And of course, this is from New Hampshire on the front side. So fairly impressive thunderstorms were rolling down the Route 2 corridor. Now these thunderstorms continued to move into New Hampshire, and we're kind of left with just the overhanging anvil on the back side. And so there was still some intercloud lightning. So lightning played a role really above the thunderstorms, sort of on the back side of the anvil for quite some time, in some cases over an hour and a half. What I'm going to do now is show you a 3D cross-section. This is probably the best view we're going to get. And we'll try to give you basically in the same area where there was so much damage, right here in the vicinity of Marshfield and Plainfield. Now I'm going to move this over here so you can get an idea, and we'll back it up and go forth. Okay, this is a 3D cross-section that will show the thunderstorm activity, which is located over here, working its way north and east. And I'll advance each volume scan, and you'll see the anvils starting to come in. And I'll show you some of the 3D capabilities of the GR2 analyst. This is a little bit of the anvil coming in right now. Now, I drew my box roughly in the vicinity of Route 2, which extends basically from Montpelier here to St. Johnsbury. Again, the worst area of damage was in the vicinity of Calais and Marshfield, so roughly in about these particular areas. Uh, as I push the volume scan along, you can kind of see what goes on. Here comes the anvil, and big thunderstorms. You might notice that I can move these things around here. There's some of the tops you can kind of get a good look at here. These tops are around 45 to 50,000 feet, and we can kind of work into them and see even how the thunderstorm activity looked as it moved on through. Again, the area I'm most interested in here is this very faint yellow line. Let's see, I believe that is the route, that's Marshfield Dam, I believe, right there. And this is in Groton Forest. So the area that I'm really most interested in is roughly right about here. So we'll see what happens on this, how this looks. Now, the big main part of the storm, you can see it advancing right about there. And we can kind of cut into this and even fly underneath it just a little bit here. I think you'll like this. So we're into the guts of the storm now. So what we're going to look at is where that heavy, heavy, heavy rain was located. And I would say it was just moving into this particular area. I'm going to pull back out, and I might even change this particular view. You can see very strong updraft signature on this lead system that's moving through it. May have already moved on through. This is about 310. So I'm going to back up a few frames. You can see these tops, overshooting tops, are really readily depicted on the radar, and in some cases they're probably, I'm going to say 48,000 feet, something to the effect. Pretty cool stuff, though, what you can do now with high technology, looking at the anvil core, the updraft core, and any kind of signatures that might be associated with some kind of a gusty wind field. I'm going to change it to what we call storm relative velocity, and you might see the red and the green sort of close by, and that would be the areas most interested in. Also, I'm going to look at any kind of rotation, and this is kind of notable. These are rotating parts of the thunderstorm, and you notice the worst area here is in the Marshfield area. Looks like this particular area here, and that looks like Marshfield Dam. So that's about Marshfield and the Cabot area right there. Thought you might be interested, folks, on how this looks, but this is fairly indicative of some fairly strong winds when you see them this low level like this. And this is even with beam blockage on our Burlington radar, which is cut down on the lowest 1/2 degree outbound, inbound radials. So if there was no mountains, we would have probably seen a whole lot better case for this.